Welcome back to Creative Tien channel. Today we want to learn about the basic of the punch card knitting. For the punch card knitting, you will need a punch card knitting machine. I have a standard gauge Brother AA1 knitting machine. It comes with a slot you can insert your punch card and do all adjustments. If you buy a Brother or Singer punch card knitting machine, they usually come with a set of punch card, or you can always create a design and punch your own cards. The most popular punch cards are 24 stitch wide or 12 stitch wide in some old models. And both Brother and Singer machine are pretty much interchangeable. The big difference is a starting line. In Brother, you can see the line here. It says 1. The row number below the first row will be different in the Singer machine. You can adjust the dial up and down to find the first row to start the pattern. Not every card can be used for every technique. For example, the Fair Isle technique, you want to make sure the flow doesn't get too long. If there's a big area that's not punched, maybe it's not suitable for Fair Isle knitting. And for the tuck knitting, you don't want to have the continuous few rows punched because you can only hold several rows of tuck stitch. If it's more than 2 or 3 or 4, you can drop stitch easily. I will start with the number 2 card and insert into the device, and you have to push down the knob and turn to advance the card. Once you have the back side coming up, you can connect the front and back together with the little accessories. You can see there are 2 holes on each side of the paper, and you can just connect those 2 holes. Now the paper is locked into a loop, so you'll create continuous pattern. And let's find out the beginning row. I will start with row 1 here. And I will start with some stockinette knitting. I need a few rows of plain stockinette stitch, and now I'm ready to do the patterning. And move the dial to the KC on the right side, so you will engage the punch card machine. And you will see 3 symbols here. There's a long triangle, the small triangle, and a red dot. For the red dot, that means it's locked. When the punch card is locked, that means it doesn't advance. It stays in the same row. And the green triangle means the normal knitting. You will go row by row. And the longer triangle on the top means it's double-sized. Every row you will knit twice, so the image will be longer. And we start with the card lock, KC. We are ready to knit the first row. When we set it to KC, you can see the bell will move when we knit. And you can see the needles are selected as the punch card. And now we have to unlock it. So change the dial back to the normal, the center one. That's the normal knitting. After we knit the first row, we can decide what kind of stitch we want. The common one is the tuck stitch or the slip stitch or the MC. The button in the center, that's for Fair Isle. I will start with the tuck stitch. Press the 2 buttons on the left side. It says tuck here. And if you want to cancel, just hit the plain. Let's start with the tuck. And make sure the dial is to the center for the normal knitting. If you keep in the red dot, it will be locked and it doesn't advance to the next row. This is the back side of the carriage. For the tuck stitch, you can see the two rubber wheels. It should be moved to the front. Sometimes when it's in the back, it might not need as well. And now we'll just keep knitting and see how it goes. Now you can see the tuck pattern here. It creates an interesting texture, especially on the back side. And the first part is just plain stockinette stitch. Now I'm canceling the tuck button and knit a few rows of plain knitting, and I'm going to change the card number to see a different pattern. And to knit the plain stitch, turn the dial from KC to NL for normal knitting. I place the number 3 card and I will try to do the Fair Isle for this pattern. And again, I start with the locking position, the red circle first. And on the carriage, you place the dial to KC to engage the belt. And we'll need 2 yarns for the Fair Isle. I thread the second color yarn and place it in the B slot here. Here's my first yarn in the A, and this is B. And I thread it through the mast, just place it on the left side. Now we are ready to knit the first row. And you probably need to hold the second yarn by hand for the first row because it has a tendency to go up. So you can see the first row needles are selected, and we will start to unlock the punch card to the normal knitting position, the small triangle. For the carriage setting, we need the MC, the middle button, because we want to do the Fair Isle. We keep this KC. And now we need the next row. And you can see the second color starting to show in the back. And we'll just continue knitting back and forth. So that's the Fair Isle from the back side. And this is the front side. And that's a normal length knitting. And we'll try the double length. And that will be the first triangle, the long triangle. And we just have to move the switch to the long triangle, and it should knit double length. Now I'm going to switch back to the normal knitting, the NL, knit a few rows and take it off the machine. The first part, plain knitting, tuck stitch. The texture of tuck stitch is usually on the back side. And then the Fair Isle, the standard size and the elongated size. Thank you for watching today and see you next week.